College football playoff expansion has been denied, at least until the year 2026. 11 school commissioners and chancellors just basically approved a recommendation, is the best way to put it, that the playoff will remain at 4 teams until the 2025 season. My instant reaction was, and I promise you this isn't a reporting video, this is just me expressing my thoughts. My immediate reaction was conflict of interest. Turns out it was right, because the Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC all are in this alliance, and those were the 3 out of 11 school commissioners and chancellors who rejected the notion of expanding the playoff, or who voted against it. So I think conflict of interest definitely plays a part here, but we're not going to be reporting today. Today I'm going to ask you a few questions, voice my thoughts on the questions I ask of you, so voice some of my opinions along with asking you for yours, and describing my ideal solution, or part of an ideal solution. I don't have the whole thing. I think that the playoff is very complex. I don't have all the answers to it, but I want to voice a specific point about it. So first and foremost, one of the questions I want to ask you is, what are your thoughts on expansion? 1, are you an expansionist, period? Do you want the playoff expanded to 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, 16, however many teams? Tell me if you're an expansionist and how many teams you want the playoff to expand to and why. Do you want the playoff to expand to give the little guy national recognition and a chance? Do you want the playoff to expand so that football can kind of mimic March Madness in a certain sense? It's possible. Even Mike Leach, a coach at Mississippi State, the head coach, who's previously a head coach at Washington State and Texas Tech, advocates for a large playoff system. Of course, much like the FCS, you'd have to cut some games out of the current 12-game regular season and conference championship week, because this isn't the NFL. Student athletes are students first, athletes second, at least in theory. NIL, and for years just how competitive the football environment has been, has kind of challenged that to a certain degree, but we're not going to talk about that. 2, do you support the playoff remaining at 4 teams, and again, if so, why? Do you think that 4 teams, that there's truthfully only 4 teams that can really compete for a national title? Do you think that because of teams like 4 seeds, Ohio State in 2014, 4-seed Alabama in 2017, and 3-seed Georgia winning it all in 2021, do you think those teams winning the national title supports that the BCS system is flawed, but also teams like Michigan, Michigan State, Cincinnati, inferior schools who had question marks of their own heading into the playoff getting blown out, support the notion that 4 is perfect? Yes, there are problems, but expanding it's just going to result in more blowouts, and putting it back to the BCS system is going to exclude some teams that could truly compete. If you just support the notion of a 4-team playoff, again, let me know down below. And 3, are you a part of the small minority of people who support returning to the BCS? I'm not going to talk about this one much because it's small, but let me know down below. I think that option is lunacy, frankly. I think that having Ohio State and Alabama's 4 seeds and Georgia as a 3 seed, they finally broke the 3 seed curse, winning it all, often in dominant fashion. Ohio State blowing out Oregon, Alabama, Georgia, that was a closer game, but that was between a 3 and a 4 seed, and Alabama as a 4 seed in 2017 dominated number 1 Clemson. So it goes to show that rankings are just rankings, but if rankings are just rankings, you know, that kind of supports to a certain degree or can make an argument for playoff expansion, because maybe a team that lost 2 games early is now red hot and could be the best team in the country. Utah, this past season, I'd say was probably the best example of that. Blowing out Oregon 2 times later in the year, competing with the offensive wizardry that was Ohio State and Ryan Day in the Rose Bowl. Utah was definitely, if they started rising from the beginning of the year, maybe the Oregon State game went differently, and they won, they would have potentially been in the playoff conversation at the end of the year if some extra upsets in conference championship week happened. But that's just me asking questions of you, as I want to get your opinion on this. I haven't done a video like this in a while. It's nice to get some opinions, just have conversations in the comment sections. So comment what you support for changing the playoff, or it remaining the same, or eliminating it entirely. Comment that down below. I'm now going to, for a few minutes, discuss how I think the playoff could be improved, while also preserving bowl games. So the Rose Bowl, for example, traditionally played between Pac-12 and Big Ten champions. The BCS system came along, it kind of messed up that, the original alignment of teams, the original matchups between teams, because one year, I believe, what was it? I think Ohio State as the Big Ten, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the Big Ten champion in the year 2002, they went to the national title game, so they couldn't play in the Rose Bowl, and somehow that resulted in Oklahoma, I think, playing in the Rose Bowl. It was weird. So the BCS messed up with it first. The playoff, every 4 years, the Rose Bowl's a playoff game. There's no guarantee a Big Ten or Pac-12 team will be in that. So there are some people who view that the playoff has certainly diminished the value of bowl season, and I agree it does. It makes this game a playoff-centered sport. But what if we could preserve integrity of the bowls, make them, have higher attendance, more passion around them, help improve the sport, but also expand the playoff, or at least keep the playoff, without reverting back to, obviously, the flawed BCS system? Well, my proposal, and it'll probably only take 2-3 minutes to explain and discuss, and then we'll be done, is make the bowls an add-on, an appendix to the regular season. And what do I mean by that? Well, you play your 12 games or 13 games if you win your conference title, and instead of going to the New Year's Six bowls or a playoff game, which is technically a New Year's Six bowl, but whatever, instead of doing that, teams just go to the traditional bowls with traditional matchups. So this past season, Michigan would have faced Utah in the Rose Bowl. In the Sugar Bowl, it would have been Alabama versus Baylor. Yes, Baylor. And in the Orange Bowl, it would have been, Pittsburgh, or maybe Pittsburgh would have been in the Peach Bowl, but whatever. You would have had your matchups. You get what I'm trying to say. But after all the bowls are played out, that's not where the season ends. After the bowls are played, new rankings are released. And from those rankings, either your season is over and you played your bowl game, you won your bowl game, or lost. But if you're in, whether it's the top 8 or top 4, you then go on to play your playoff games. So let's say Michigan loses the Rose Bowl. Then maybe they're out if it's a 14 playoff, or they're in, but at a lower seed in an 18 playoff. Let's say a team like Ole Miss, who is on the fringes of making it, they're in the Sugar Bowl. Or Baylor. Baylor's a better example. I think they were ranked higher. They win the Sugar Bowl. They're 12-2. Maybe they'll move up over a team who lost their bowl game, like Michigan, and they replace Michigan's spot. Where Michigan falls out of favor for the 14 playoff, Baylor replaces them. So basically, this is adding an extra game, and it's weird. I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but I had this thought a few days ago, and I think it's a really good solution. So, again, your bowls are just another add-on. They are the final chance for you to enter the playoff or get kicked out. Michigan, they're 12-1. After winning the Big Ten, you're still not safe. You got to win your Rose Bowl. your traditional Rose Bowl matchup against the Pac-12 champion Utah in order to get in. And that way, bowl season for at least some top-tier teams isn't the end of it. For your New Year's Six Bowl teams, especially if it's like an 8-team playoff, your season certainly isn't over once you go to your bowls. There's still passion surrounding bowls. There will be people in attendance wanting to see their team fight for a potential playoff berth, or, you know what I'm trying to say. And your little guy, especially your little guy. Can you imagine, Cincinnati in a New Year's Six Bowl fighting against a big guy for a chance to enter the playoff? If Cincinnati is truly a championship caliber team, or another group of 5 school is, they will not be eliminated in the New Year's Six Bowl conversation. True teams who are good, will survive the extra add-on game, will survive, they will win their bowl, and they will advance to either a 4, 8, 6, any even number playoff system, which I'm not going to get into. I think that the 8 top-ranked teams is the ideal solution, but that's just me. But I think this, with bowls, you make them a play-in game. It's a weird idea. I think it could reinvigorate some passion and attention surrounding the bowl games while also keeping a playoff system together. Maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know. But it's just a thought. And thinking and expressing a thought is better than thinking it and keeping it hidden and not expressing it at all. So that's just my opinion. You can disagree with it. You can agree with it. But once again, for the nth time, using the bowl games not as the final game, a potential final game, but using the bowls as your last chance to punch a ticket to the playoff. You go to the Sugar Bowl or the Rose Bowl, and you're ranked in the top 10, but you're not in that top 8 or top 4, whatever. You're on the fringes of entering the playoff. You need this last win that you couldn't get in your conference championship week. This also provides teams, before I end this episode, teams who start off weak but finish strong, like 2015 Stanford. This gives them a chance to prove themselves one last time against a powerful, non-conference opponent matchup. Again, to help prove themselves. And that's all I have to say for this video. I expressed a potential idea for a solution, asked you questions, different kind of video, but I thought it would be unique and cool. So here we are. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Are you in support of playoff expansion? Do you support the idea that I presented? Or are you in disagreement? Tell me down below and we'll have an awesome discussion about it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.